Hello world, hello Philippines. Good day. Today we're going to discuss financial literacy as part of the lesson in our subject building and enhancing literacies across the curriculum. Take a look with the pictures that you can see in the screen or in the slides. Okay, these pictures of course talks about financial literacy. Let's have reality check. Probably you can hear some words such as sagana ngayon, gutom na bukas. Or ang pera parating pa lang, paalis na. And nabubuhay sa akense at renta. So these are probably some of the words that you can hear that talks about what is the pressing issues with our financial status in or status in life. And I have here some reasons based on the studies that OFWs work abroad due to some of the following reasons. The first is the education of their children. The second is to build a house. Third is to help the family. And number four is to earn a bigger income. We have also the other reasons are to save for the future, self-development, and of course to travel and see other countries. In these reasons, for example, you have also some things in mind that you can probably be the reason why we are of course working and keeping on saving money and etc. Let's face the reality. Let's take a look with these scenarios wherein of course we save for something. The question is, where does your money go? So these are the reasons and probably the factors that we need to consider with the question, where does your money go? And number one is, of course, paying off debt for a trip, or for bank account or savings account. Another is supports for parents and relatives. Then you have, of course, the education of your children. Supposing you have a family, household expenses, or expenses rather, insurance premiums, and of course, others. So these are, of course, the things that we have allotted our money. Supposing we're having, of course, income. The question is, what is financial literacy? Okay, when we say, of course, financial literacy, according to Wayne Teresa, she mentioned that financial literacy not only involves the ability to count your money, it also tests your ability to evaluate the cost and benefit associated with each decision you make. And financial literacy, and financial knowledge and financial education are used interchangeably in formal literature and popular media. Various sources provide various definitions to financial literacy, but have one thing in common, and everything involves around money, knowledge, and how we're going to use. Again, I would like to repeat that everything revolves around money, knowledge, and how to use. The National Endowment for Financial Education, or the NEFI, defines financial literacy as the ability to read, analyze, manage, and communicate about the personal financial conditions that affect material well-being. And it includes the ability to discern financial choices, discuss money and financial issues without discomfort, plan for the future, and respond competently to life events that affect everyday financial decisions, including general events, economy. That's according to In Charge Education Foundation in 2017. Mandell in 2009 defines financial literacy, okay, in other ways, as the ability to use knowledge and, of course, the skills to manage one's financial resources effectively, okay, for lifetime financial security. I like that one, for, okay, lifetime financial literacy. And according to Huston in 2010, explains that financial literacy is made up of two elements. These are, of course, understanding and use. When we say understanding financial literacy, it implies that a person is knowledgeable about personal finance and applies such knowledge in dealing with one's finances. Meanwhile, Hastings et al. 2013 refers to financial literacy rather as, number one, knowledge of financial products, like what is stock or a bond, the difference between a fixed versus an adjustable rate mortgage. And the second one is knowledge of financial concepts or inflation, compounding, diversification, and of course, credit scores. Having, of course, the third one is having the mathematical skills or numeracy necessary for effective financial decision making. And the last is being engaged in certain activities such as financial planning. Republic Act 10992, other known as the Economic and Financial Literacy Act, mandates DepEd, or Department of Education, to ensure that economic financial education becomes an integral for part of learning or formal learning, so to speak. And the Council for Economic Education, which is the leading organization in the United States, focuses on the economic and financial education of students from kindergarten through high school, develop 6 standards. Again, 6 standards gearing toward deepening students' understanding of personal finance through an economic perspective. The 6 standards are, number one, okay, earning income. And there are key concepts that we need to remember when we say earning income. The first is, of course, the benefits and costs of increasing income through the acquisition of education and skills. Second is different types of jobs, as well as different forms of income earned or received. The third is the government programs that affect income. Then income earned or received by people. We also consider labor markets and, of course, the types of income and taxes that we have. The second one is saving. We have also some concepts or key concepts regarding, of course, saving, like automatic saving plans, okay, or the rainy day funds. Okay, we have also concepts of saving and interest, financial regulations, how people save money, and where people save money, and why people save money. Then we have, of course, present versus future value. And there is always, of course, the change of value of the money or the savings that we have. Then role of markets in determining interest rates, saving for retirement, the mathematics for saving, and the role that financial institutions plays as intermediaries between, of course, the savers and the borrowers. The next is, of course, buying goods and services. This is the third. Again, the third one is buying goods and services. We have, of course, the following key concepts, like basics of budgeting and planning. Okay. As an individual, soon to be teachers, we need to know, of course, the basics of how we're going to budget and, of course, plan it. Okay. Then budgeting and classifications of expenses, comparing the cost and benefits of spending decisions, factors that influence, of course, spending choices such as advertising, peer pressure, and, of course, spending choices of others. Then we have payment methods, cost, and benefits of each. Then scarcity, choice, and opportunity cost. The role of government and other institutions in providing information for consumers. Okay, we have also the number 4. Okay, we have, of course, using credit. So here are, of course, the key concepts regarding using credits. or the use of credit. The first is basic calculations related to borrowing, like principal, interest, compound interest, and behaviors that contribute to strong credit reports and scores. Then we have, of course, concept of credit and the cost of using credit, consumer protection laws, the credit reports and credit sources, and of course, the last is why people use credit and the sources of credit. The next is, of course, financial investing. Here we have the following key concepts, like, for example, we calculate rates of return, the concept of financial investment, how diversification can reduce risk, how financial markets react to changes in market conditions and information, how markets cause the rates of return to change in response to variation in risk and maturity, and the relevance and calculations of real and after-tax returns or rates of return. Then the last is variety of possible financial investments. Then we have, of course, protecting and insuring. With this, the following are the key concepts. First is we have concepts of financial risk and loss. So there is always the risk, okay? And of course, we also sometimes anticipate the loss. Then how to protect oneself against identity theft. Then we have, of course, insurance, the identity theft itself, then the life insurance products, and of course, how we're going to manage risk. Okay. So we have, of course, determinants of financial literate person. There are actually 5, and one is, of course, plans. Okay, a person plans, saves, then invest in stocks, then accumulate more wealth. That's according to Losardi and Mitchell in 2014. Then, of course, less credit card debt. Then we have, of course, when they borrow, they manage their loans better, paying off the full amount each month rather than just the minimum due. Okay. Then they refinance their mortgages when it makes sense to do so, and of course, less likely to use high-cost borrowing methods. So take note of these. The more eligible individuals invest in more sophisticated assets, generating higher expected returns on retirement, saving along with lower non-systematic risk. And that's according to Mitchell in 2014. And let's have, of course, the developing personal financial literacy. So it talks about, of course, one's attitude about money is heavily influenced by, okay, parents' attitudes, and of course, even the behavior about money. So we're, of course, affected by our parents' attitude towards, of course, money and even the behavior. So the attitudes you form early in life probably affect how you save, spend, and invest today. Again, the attitudes you form early in life probably affect how you save, spend, and invest money. There are actually 6 major characteristic types in how people view money, according to InCharge in 2017. So the first is, of course, frugal. Okay, so frugal people seek financial security by living below their means and saving money. They rarely buy luxurious items, and of course, they save money instead. The second one is, of course, pleasure. So pleasure seekers use money to bring pleasure to themselves and to others. They are, of course, most or more likely to spend than to save. Again, pleasure seekers are the one, or these are, of course, peoples that are more likely to spend than to save. So they often live beyond their means and, of course, spend more than they earn. Another characteristics or types is, of course, the status. So some people use money to express their social trust or status. They like to purchase and, of course, show off their branded items. Then we have, of course, another characteristic is the indifference. Some people place very little importance on having money, and of course would rather grow their own food and craft, okay, their own clothes. It is as if having too much money makes them nervous and of course uncomfortable. The next characteristic rather is powerful. So powerful people use money to express power or control over others. And of course, the last is self-worth. Here, people who spend money for self-worth value how much they accumulate and tend to judge, of course, others based on, okay, the amount of money they are saving or they have. Okay. We have here a question. The question is that, is financial education an antidote to poor financial decision making? Let's have, of course, the answer of that question. So Burnham et al. In 2001 believed that although financial literacy is somewhat new, policy initiatives in financial literacy is not. In fact, in 1950s, the United States began recommending policies to improve the quality of personal financial decision-making through financial education, through the inclusion of personal finance, economics, and other consumer education topics to children enrolled in the K-12 educational curriculum. And financial education should be the best tool to effectively come up with better financial outcomes. Previous studies have shown that lower levels of financial literacy is associated with lower rates for planning for retirement, lower rates of asset accumulation using higher cost financial services, lower participation in the stock market, and higher levels of debt. Saving is, of course, imperative to improve individual and societal welfare. Take note, saving is imperative to improve individual and societal welfare. At the personal level, saving, of course, households achieve smooth consumption patterns. Again, saving help households achieve smooth consumption patterns. And savings also help financial productive investments in human and business capital. At the macroeconomic level, saving rates are strongly predictive of future economic growth. However, access to financial education does not guarantee that poor financial practices are provided with solutions. In saving, learners should be taught the best way to save and safeguard their money. Again, I would like to emphasize, learners should be taught the best way to save and safeguard their money. Although saving is now taught in schools in various conferences, policymakers need to look into teaching people the possibility of saving more by paying down existing debt. In the Philippines, in our country, so the current administration has been, of course, taking small steps to pin down the problem on debts and encourage saving more by offering, of course, lower loan rates to micro and small business enterprise. Let's have the financial literacy among Filipinos. So the Filipino mindset upon receipt of salary, as known, okay, as commonly known is, of course, that upon receipt of salaries, spending comes in before saving. So what is left is saved. If there's none left, then there's nothing saved. According to a study conducted by Pilum Life, 96% of Filipinos are concerned about their own and their family's health. However, only 16% of them are prepared to pay for medical costs in case they're diagnosed with critical illness. Imagine, of course, the statistic. So the stat would show 16% according to the study of Pilum Life. Okay, there is, of course, a rising number of senior dependents or those retirees who depend on their children for financial help due to lack of financial education. Okay, so of course, you need to plan for your future and you need to save for that, supposing you are into, of course, retirement. Okay. Take note, financial planning teaches individuals to be responsible when it comes to their finances and instills the discipline needed in order to keep track of their financial goals. Financial planning, of course, involves educating Filipinos on the different types of goals that they should set. Like, for example, the short term, the medium term, and long term. When I say short-term goals, it involves monthly living expenses that need to be paid or the person's basic needs, including, of course, the setting up of an emergency fund. In contrast, medium-term goals are those you want to achieve in 1 to 5 years, like buying a house or a car, while long-term goals are those that take longer than 5 years to achieve. To address the growing demand for more investments in the country, the financial industry advises that Filipinos should save first and spend whatever is left after putting their savings aside. Again, the financial industry advises that Filipinos should, or we should, save first and spend whatever is left after putting our savings aside. Okay, so we have 3 steps in developing a spending plan. The first is we need to record. Okay, the second one is to review and, of course, take action. So the importance of savings are the following. The first is emergency bolster. So you should save money to avoid going to debt. Okay, just to pay emergency situations like medical expenses, calamities, and etc. And then, of course, retirement. So you will, of course, need savings or investment to take the place of the income you will no longer receive when you're going to retire. Then we have, of course, importance of savings. We have, of course, here, future events. So you need to save for future events like your weddings, birthdays, anniversaries, and travels, so as not to sacrifice your fixed expenses. The second one is instability of social security. So pensions from social security should not only serve as supplementary and not, the primary source of income after retirement. And of course, there is a saying, a little goes a long way. So small, consistent savings go a long way. That's very true. Okay. And we have 2 ways to save. Save before, of course, you spend, and save after you spend wisely. Okay. In order to, of course, stick to the saving habit, okay, we need to have the following. The first is commit to a month, then find an accountability partner. So you look for, of course, a partner who's very accountable in terms of savings, money, and so on. Then find a savings role model who is successful with his or her money through, of course, tried and true savings. Okay, then write your goal down and track it. Then avoid tempting situations like going to mall to hang out and probably to buy, of course, new things. Then we have, of course, the negative mindsets regarding, of course, saving. Like, I do not have enough money. Okay, that's negative. I do not have good enough ideas. Or, okay, you have to distrust. Or, for example, distrust of people, like there is mandaraya, silang lahat. Then the fear of failure. Okay. We have also 3 financial stages, okay, that we need to undergo. Okay, the first is man at work, then man and money at work. Take a look at the picture associated with, and of course, money at work. Okay, the question is, where are you now? Okay, and where do you want to be in the future? So that's it. Okay, we have, of course, these 3 steps to achieve financial freedom. The first is, of course, plan. The second one is save. And of course, the third one is invest. Okay, we have steps in financial planning. Okay, number one is set family goals together. You talk with your partner in life, supposing you have a partner. Okay, but as of now, of course, many of you are students. Then set a time frame for achieving family goals. Then discuss and determine how each member will contribute to achieving family goals. Then remind everyone of their commitment from time to time, and of course, monitor whether the family is achieving its goal or not. And then we have, of course, setting up family goals. So family goals are usually centered on the following. The first is education. The second is housing. The third is health. Fourth is retirement. The fifth is, of course, protection and preparedness against our for unforeseen events, and of course, savings and investment. So these are, of course, uh, the center of our family goals. Okay. What about setting a time frame for each goal? So start by, of course, answering the following questions. Like, when will all the children or the siblings finish high school or college? So it talks about education. And the second is, when rather can you buy your own home, or at least make the down payment of the new home? So it talks about housing. The third is, at what age do you plan to retire? So it talks about retirement. So do all the children have, of course, required vaccinations, or do all students have family health plans? So it talks about health and protection. And the last is, how much and until when should you save, or where and how much to invest? So it talks about savings and investment. Okay, take a look with your financial plan. So you have here, of course, a timeline rather for you. So take a look with the example. So you need to have immediate plan rather, like graduation fund for child one. Okay, for one child. So we have, of course, 50K or 50,000. Then for 2 years, you have funds for business undertaking, and that's 100K or 100,000. For 10 years, build, of course, dream house, and it costs. Or a plan, you have a plan for 5 million. Then, of course, for 20 years, you're going to plan for your retirement fund, and probably you can have 1 million for that. Okay, so what is important is you need to create a timeline on when you want it to be happen or to happen, and of course specify amount needed. Okay, the second step on or to achieving financial freedom is to save. Take note, saving is a conscious and deliberate way of setting aside a portion of your personal income or of the personal income. Take note, saving is a conscious and deliberate way, okay, of setting aside a portion of your personal income. Okay, so we have actually obstacles of savings, like the culture of dependency, the lack of financial literacy, procrastination, okay, the poor spending habits. Okay, take note of that. These are, of course, the obstacles to saving. The third step is to achieve financial freedom. Okay, the third step to achieving financial freedom is to invest. Take note, make your money grow and invest your savings in money-making assets and make your money work for you. Again, make your money work for you. So to save, to invest, we need to have, of course, keeping more of, and of course, making more with the money you keep. Again, the two words probably that we can remember in investment is keeping more and making more. Okay, let's have the next. We have, of course, this investment, which is, of course, wise. Wise investment by, of course, uh, thinking of an affordable project, like start small, but think big, like, for example, tricycle or taxi or person to handle. Okay, you need to consider also. Okay, and one of probably the things that we need to consider is the one who will handle. Okay, meron ba or kaya ba? Like, okay, sinong pwedeng bantay, supposing that's a business. Okay, then of course, you need to consider viability. Okay, we have of course eventual reintegration, like for example, preparation. Then there is of course acquisition that is being involved, and there is enhancement of skills. Then encourage family members in the Philippines to learn the same skills. Okay, take note, investment is the commitment of funds made in expectation of some positive rate in return. Okay, I like the word commitment of funds and then positive rates of return, meaning in the end, you will have, of course, positive return. Okay, if the investment is properly undertaken, the return will be commensurate with the risk it rather assumed. Okay, it's very nice. Again, if the investment is properly undertaken, the return will be commensurate with the risk it assumed. Okay, here is, of course, the cash flow of the REITs that you can see. So supposing there is a job, no, he's having a job or having a profession. Of course, he will have income. Okay, with income, of course, comes the expenses. Okay, and of course, probably you can have your assets. And in the other side is the liabilities. But of course, these assets can be, of course, income generating, and it goes the same way because that's a cycle. Okay, so investing in your own business. Remember the following, okay, in investing in your own business. Number one, remember that not everyone has what it takes to run a successful business. The second is, if you think that you have what it takes to become a successful business person, then it's time to plan for your business. The third is, think about what business can engage in. And then look for or look around you and identify business opportunities and evaluate its options. And then the last is, of course, do a situational analysis by identifying the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to your proposed business. Okay, what about borrowing or loaning, or of course the loan? It's very common. Okay, so take note, never treat as source of income. The loan, okay, should never be treated as, of course, the source of income. Next, need to have loan only when necessary. And then take note of this, dulot ay kalon-kutan kung hindi kailangan. Okay, take note of that. Okay, it will make you sad, supposing that you have, of course, a lot of loans. Okay, what can the government and financial institutions do, okay, to make Filipinos financially literate? So here is the question, what can the government do? The first is, of course, develop financial education policies and set up robust financial products available to the financial intermediaries and their customers. The second one is develop financial education policies and set up robust financial consumer protection frameworks, okay, to ensure that consumers are informed and understand the financial products available to them. The third one is involve financial service providers, okay, and other key stakeholders to build the financial capabilities of the youth and adults through a variety of delivery channels. Then, of course, number four, empower teenagers to deliver financial education on issues such as savings to younger children. This peer-to-peer approach is actually very useful because young people tend to listen to their peers more than adults. And the participative approach helps foster youth as agents of change in their own communities. Okay. In general, financial literacy programs can reduce economic inequalities as well as empowering citizens and decreasing information asymmetries between financial intermediaries and their customers. So therefore, of course, we need to have this financial literacy, particularly, okay, that soon you are, of course, teachers. So here are, of course, our references for our module, okay, 3 lesson. And I hope you learn a lot from, of course, this video. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of the day. God bless. Bye-bye.